G'day headbangers, welcome to Dozers Metalworks, and not going to go with the intro this week. I'm going to get straight into it. As you all heard during the week, we lost the icon, the legend, the Prince of Darkness himself, Ozzy Osbourne. Now this one has hit me very hard. I'll not lie that I've pretty much got something in my eye every day this week. And I've been listening to Ozzy Osbourne non-stop since. Now from the other wrestling buddies and other metalhead buddies out there who love our heavy metal, we know Ozzy was the icon, the legend. Him and Black Sabbath started heavy metal. Started that genre all the way back when. So this was a huge loss. We had three big huge losses during the week. I'll get into the other two in a minute. But look, I thought a couple of weeks ago I did do my top 20 Ozzy songs and top 10 Black Sabbath songs. So I can't really do that, another one of that. But I thought I'll do Dozers Vault. Now originally I was going to just put my three favourite albums in on Dozers Vault, which is No More Tears, Osmosis and No Rest for the Wicked. But after listening to Ozzy non-stop, and I went, stuff it. Apart from the album Undercover, which is all cover albums, so it's a different album to me, I am going to induct every single Ozzy Osbourne studio album into Dozers Metalworks. So usually I say, the month and date it was released, and talk about every single song that's on the album and other bits and pieces about it. But I said to Rex, it'd take him about an hour to edit the show and have about a 2 hour long freaking thing. So I went, nah, I'm going to keep it short and sweet, and just basically talk about the year it was released, and what were the standout tracks in the actual year. So standout tracks of that album. I will be going a bit back and forth. Some of them would actually be easier to remember the songs, but I have to go back and forth through the years and my Spotify playlist. But look, what I might do is just mention the years and then go through the albums and the songs. So we'll start off, the one that started it all for him, Blizzard of Oz, released in 1980. Diary of a Madman, released in 1981. Bark at the Moon in 1983. The Ultimate Sin, released in 1986. No Rest for the Wicked in 1988. No More Tears in 1991. Osmosis in 1995. Down to Earth in 2001. Black Rain in 2007. Scream in 2010. Ordinary Man in 2020. And Patient Number 9 only back in 2022, a few years ago. So yeah, that was his solo career there. I'm not going to mention anything about Black Sabbath at this stage. But look, Blizzard of Oz, everyone knows the standout tracks for that was Crazy Train, Goodbye to Romance was pretty big, and Suicide Solution and Mr. Crowley were the other big ones from that. Then Diary of a Madman, you had Over the Mountain, and Diary of a Madman, the title track. Then Bark at the Moon, you had title track Bark at the Moon, which is probably the most popular. So Tired was a very interesting one I found. Then going on to The Ultimate Sin. The Ultimate Sin was probably one of the big ones from that album. And then Shot in the Dark was their other big one from that one. Then you've got No Rest for the Wicked. I think this was the first album where Zakk Wylde came in, started doing guitars for Ozzy. Now he's a legend, that dude. Look, Miracle Man is definitely my favourite song from that one. That was probably their big ones. Crazy Babies was the other big one from that one. Then moving on to my favourite album, which was No More Tears. Probably the big ones from that. Well, the whole album was pretty good actually, but Mr. Tinker Train, Mama I'm Coming Home, Desire, No More Tears, Hellraiser, which he re-released with Lemmy years later. And yeah, like that whole album is good for me. Then moving on to Osmosis. Look, I'd have to say Perry Mason is best track on that one. That's another album where the whole thing is really, really good. But Perry Mason's probably the biggest one for that. Then, yeah, then we got the album after that. Was the album, I can't remember the name of the album now, but it was the album after that. I said my brain's not working properly dealing with Ozzy's loss. Sorry, guys. But yeah, that one wasn't too bad of an album. Dreamer is probably most well known for that album. Got me listening to it for the first time ever. Then you had the album Black Rain, which was for me, I listened to the first time during the week. Look, the whole album was pretty good, but the one that stood out for me was I Don't Want to Stop. I thought that was absolutely banger of a track. Then you had the album Scream, which I thought was alright, but nothing great. Then you had Ordinary Man, which I thought was okay. Again, kind of average, but still decent. And then I heard Patient Number 9, and wow, that was brilliant. You know, he had guest guitarists, you know, Jeff Beck, Mike McCready, Zakk Wylde, Tony Iommi, Eric Clapton, you know, all the way through. Guest guitarists in all but 3 tracks. So I thought that was fantastic. But yeah, as I said, it's a lot of people I know, it has shocked them. Look, we knew he probably didn't have that long left, but it's still a shock. I've seen pictures of the Black Sabbath bridge in Birmingham in England. I've got a friend who lives in Birmingham, and she said she's going to go and take a picture for me. So hopefully I can post that in the next video. But yeah, I haven't got any Ozzy albums on CD, unfortunately, except for the Essential Ozzy here. But I'm hoping to pick up at least Patient Number 9 and Ordinary Man tomorrow, if my local JB store has them in stock. The place where I usually get my metal CDs is sold out of every bloody Ozzy thing there is, so who knows how long I'm going to have to wait before I can pick them up, because I do want to buy them all now. As I said, Undercover is maybe a maybe because it's a covers album. But look, that's hard week for everyone involved in this one. And Ozzy transcended lots of industries, you know. The WWE paid tribute to him. Lady Gaga paid homage to him. You know, a lot of pop artists and rap artists, you know. His music transcended music industry right across the board. All different genres. So that's how much of an impact this guy had in the music and entertainment world. Actors were paying tribute to him. So it is a great loss to the whole world. So yeah. Now the other 2 people who passed away during the week, which were big ones. Malcolm Jamal Warner was a black actor who played the son in The Cosby Show all the way back in the 80s. So that was a sad loss, because I know that was a big one. And then of course the other one, which was a big shock as well, was Hulk Hogan, the wrestler from WWF, who now WWE, WCW, you know. Again, he was another icon. He made wrestling huge. What Ozzy did for heavy metal was Hulk Hogan did for wrestling. So, like my boss at work said, you know, that's my 2 worlds colliding, wrestling and heavy metal. You know, 2 icons passed away during the week, and yeah, it's pretty crap. So, Rest in peace to Malcolm, Hulk, and of course Ozzy. You had an impact on all our lives in one way, shape or form. So rest in peace, guys. So on that note, my fellow metalheads, march on.